Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm writer Coach Tony, and this afternoon I'm going to answer another question from a student who wrote to me through my Facebook. So his name is Mark Anthony Polinar, and he's from Cebu City. Hey, taga Cebu, no? Well, my actually it's my default hometown, but uh, we don't actually have a house there. But anyway, I'm digressing. So Mark's question is, he has several questions actually. He said, "What is the hi sir? I'm one of your avid followers in your YouTube videos. Thank you, daghang salamat. I have a question, sir. What is the difference between a thesis and a dissertation?" That's question number one. Number two, how about international journals? That's question number two. Is that a huge impact compared to the two mentioned? That's question number three. And is there a possibility that soon universities will adopt international journals? That's question number four. So he says, thank you, sir. I'll wait for this video. Thank you. Okay. So, I'll answer the four questions one by one. So let's begin with, what is the difference between thesis and dissertation? So technically, I have been coaching for almost since 1999, no? Technically, maybe 2002 would be the first real year I really sat down on this. But since 1999, when I had my tutorial center, I still have a tutorial center right now. I already was coaching people not to do their lit reviews. In some countries, so in most countries, when you say thesis, it's for masteral students. So in the Philippines, and in actually all the countries I've um, I've coached in, um, when they say thesis, it's for masteral students. However, lately, and I say in the past 4 years, China, no, because China, I think, is the number two source of graduate students worldwide. No? So I have been coaching many students from China, and I've noticed that they 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 reverse both, no? Because when you say dissertation, on the other hand, it means it's for doctoral students. Sorry, excuse me. Oops, I have to wipe my hands with a with a wipe. Sorry, we have to be safe right now because of the coronavirus. I do have alcohol here, so sorry. Actually, don't worry, I'm the only one in this office right now. So let's go back. So when you say thesis, it's for graduate students who are taking their masters. For dissertations, technically it's for PhD students who are finishing their doctoral. So it's doctoral dissertations, masteral thesis. So that's how I've known it for so long. But as I said, when China came into the picture, when I started getting um, um, students who wanted coaching from China, they had dissertations done by masteral students, and then they have thesis done by PhD. So that got me confused. No, I'm not really confused. It's just that I was wondering, why do they call it thesis? So it's for, because I have had several students coaching them for dissertations, but they're in their masters. So I don't know. Well, China has always has its own uniqueness. So they just stamp their foot on it. Or maybe they misunderstood something. But technically, when you say thesis, it's for masters. Dissertations is for PhD. But if you maybe take your advanced studies in China, you might be, doing your dissertation for masters and thesis for your doctorate. So I don't know. Depends on the university you're going to. So why am I mentioning China? Because Mark asked about the international journals. Right now in China, Each student, graduate student, has to have an article published in an international journal. So when they do the research, so when my coaching begins, I have to coach them all through the journal stage, no? The journal article stage. So it's so nerve-wracking because journals are very difficult. Articles are very difficult to do because yes, you passed your dissertation, yes, you passed your thesis, but you cannot submit your dissertation as your journal article. There's a lot of editing that goes into it, and sometimes it's a hit and miss, no? Sometimes in the coaching we hit it, sometimes we miss because it will depend on there's a PF factor in the journal. So PF factor means how many times has your article been get cited by other researchers. So the higher the PF factor, the more, I guess, the more popular the journal is, the more respected. So it's not uncommon for those I'm coaching from China to fix their thesis, their finished thesis or their finished dissertation, and jam it into and make it into a journal article. So Mark's question was, how about international journals? Maybe he means the progression, what I understand. So when you finish your thesis, then you may publish it in a journal. But it's not easy as 1, 2, 3. As I said, here in the Philippines, yes, I've coached several, but not as many as China, because as I've noticed, it's a prerequisite for their graduation. So they have to produce a journal article. So I've been editing a lot of journal articles this past few years. Of course, the standards in China is improving. They're slowly becoming a powerhouse in research, slowly, but not as high yet as the other Western countries, but they're getting there. As for the Philippines, I think I have coached several students. We transformed their studies, their thesis, into journal articles. Anyway, I'll make another video later explaining how we did the process, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert because it was only like 3 times I did it for local. In China, for my times in China, for the students I've coached from China, the flow was much easier. But it's really very technical, converting your thesis or dissertation into a journal article. Is that a huge impact compared to the 2 mentioned? Yes, journal articles are. I mean, if you do your research, journal articles are way above, compared to other like magazine article, blog, So if the journal is a respected journal, I mean, it's highly peer reviewed, and then it's something that your teacher really advises you to read, then yes, journal articles have a huge impact on the research community. You can see that now in the COVID pandemic. When you read articles on the pandemic, it's always better if you read an article that came from a journal, because you're sure that it passed through the very stringent checking of information. Usually, because what I noticed before when I was coaching students, they really check the methodology. They really check that you really went through the study, na hindi siya dinoktor, like who were the respondents, and so they're very particular with that. And of course, they're particular with the language, because for example, you have a 60-page thesis. It has to be compressed into maybe 8 to 10 pages, so it will shrink. So you have to shrink everything. uh, and then you have to do a lot of graphs. But anyway, that will be another video. So there's a huge impact, no? Because thesis and dissertations usually are just used in the university where you're studying, no? Yeah, because like in the Philippines, our problem here is we haven't yet digitalized many of our studies. I don't know, although I have seen medyo marami na, no? But not as many as those from other countries. So I hope the libraries we have here are digitalizing their their thesis or dissertations for the purpose of sharing information to a wider audience. No? Anyway, you can charge people for that. No? You can have a library fee, whatever. No? But the idea is to share more information to more people. So, but as of now, between a journal article and a thesis and dissertation, the thesis and dissertation's impact is a bit limited because the only ones who use it are the ones in the university where you're studying. Unless, of course, if you're from UP, then you can borrow you have a chance to go to LaSalle and then borrow their dissertations. Or if you're from Ateneo, you can go to UP and then have a chance to check other dissertations. I don't know if that's how it's done now, no? But usually it's within your university lang. However, pag naging journal article na siya, it's worldwide na, no? So your article can reach anyone in the world that wants to study, that needs your study. So your impact is much, 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 much bigger, no? If your thesis becomes a journal article. Is there a possibility that soon universities will adopt international journals? Oh my God, in the Philippines, you should adopt that. Why? Because that's been the standard in many other countries. No, I've been coaching UK, US students for the longest time. I've been coaching since 2002. Hong Kong, Singapore, journals are their barometers, no? So when I coach students here, I'm shocked that they just use thesis and dissertations, but I just don't comment. Because maybe because the truth is mahal, expensive ang subscriptions sa international journals, no? I don't know if they can charge it to the students, but unfortunately, baka you have, no? But now with everything in the internet, I'm sure the school or the university can shoulder that expense, no? And then this distributed to the students. Because the idea is to let students get access to more high standard work, no? And because I notice abroad, their methodologies are more complex, no? It's more exciting, and they tend to think out of the box, no? I didn't think out of the box because I belong to an older generation, so I prefer simpler methodologies. But I've read studies with very complex methodologies. It's just pretty exciting, you know, because you're trying to push the envelope and you're trying to make research more exciting, no, for more people. Because the more people use varying methodologies, it's good for everyone in the field of research, especially those who are finishing their masters and their dissertations. So I guess that's it, no? I hope your university, sir, will allow or open the use of international journals in their studies. It's very important, no? And basically, if you're in a certain course, you try to find maybe the 10 best journals in your course of study, and then if they're free, distribute it to your students. If not, then maybe there's a fee that you can ask your students to pay, so they can have access to those journals, no? Kasi if the problem is just money, it shouldn't be a problem because knowledge is important, no? We pay to watch a movie, we pay 300 pesos to watch a movie, getting journal information is very important because, as I said, it opens your mind to better methodologies, more interesting conceptual frameworks, more exciting theoretical frameworks. Um, that's just my opinion, because I can compare what is being done locally to what is being done in the UK, the US. I've seen there's still a bit of difference in what we're doing unless those students really study abroad, no? But of course, the gap is slowly closing because there are many Filipinos who study abroad who come back here to teach. So in other words, there are rub off. And then there are coaches like me who try to, no, little by little, just push that, encourage local people to really use international journals as their barometer for their um, studies. So I hope Sir Mark I was able to answer your questions. Um, I think, yeah, I was able to answer all of those. Um, I hope for in the future sa Philippines, journal usage would be more, would become a requirement. No? Although I don't know, kasi magastos, number one, and and then you need more training for the teachers, no, for them to be able to convert. But if, kasi I think the DEX is doing that right now, because the DEX really, they really have to do it because teacher training is very important. But that's why they really encourage all their teachers to have articles published. And of course, those in the universities, I think it's a requirement as well to have your tenure, no? Let's say to stay in your university, you should have at least one or two published journal articles. I think that's a fair requirement because how can you be a faculty when you haven't written anything important in your field, no? So I guess that's the journal article, the research article, the scientific article becomes the basis, one of the basis of you being in that university as a professor. No? It gives you more gravitas. In other words, the thesis and the dissertation is just first steps in the journey. But as you go, you hopefully produce many journal articles that could help change or contribute more to the whatever field you are studying. So that's all for now. Thank you, Mark, for your question. Please, to all my other viewers, please follow me on my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram. It's down there below the video. And then if you have time, please click the red button and subscribe to my channel. I'm writer Coach Tony. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for your time and see you on my next video.